Every war has a first sound. Historians will tell you the First World War began with 2 gunshots. They're wrong. It began 4 seconds earlier, with the sound of a car stopping on the wrong street. This is the story of how one wrong turn killed 17 million people. It took 37 days. June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, visits Sarajevo with his wife Sophie. It is their wedding anniversary. It is also a Serbian national day of mourning, the date of an ancient sacred defeat. The visit is either an oversight or a provocation. Waiting along the river, 6 conspirators, armed by contacts reaching back into a Serbian nationalist secret society. Their story will come out at trial. We'll stick to what the trial recorded. 10:15 in the morning. A bomb arcs toward the Archduke's car, bounces off the folded roof, and explodes under the car behind. Officers are wounded. The bomber swallows his cyanide and jumps into the river. The cyanide is old. The river is 4 inches deep. He is dragged out, alive, by the crowd. Franz Ferdinand survives. At the town hall, shaking with anger, he interrupts the mayor's welcome speech. He has come on a visit, he says, and been greeted with a bomb. Then he makes a decision that will end the world he was born into. He will change his route to visit the wounded officers in hospital. It is, by every account, an act of decency. The new route is agreed in the corridor, and in the confusion, no one tells the drivers. The motorcade sets off down the quay. The lead cars turn right onto Franz Joseph Street, the old route. The Archduke's driver follows. The governor shouts that they're going the wrong way. The car stomps to turn back. It stops directly in front of a delicatessen. Standing on the pavement 5 feet from the running board is Gavrilo Princip, 19 years old, a conspirator from the morning who had assumed the plot was over. He does not need to aim. The first bullet strikes Sophie. The second strikes the Archduke in the neck. An officer riding on the running board would later describe the Archduke's final words, begging Sophie to stay alive for their children, then repeating, quietly, that it was nothing. It was nothing. It was nothing. By 11 o'clock, both are dead. Here is the strangest fact about the July crisis. For most of it, nothing happened. Europe's stock market stayed calm. Its kings went on holiday. The murder of an heir was shocking. But heirs had been murdered before, and the world had not ended. On day 8, Vienna sends an envoy to Berlin with a question. If Austria punishes Serbia, will Germany stand behind her? Kaiser Wilhelm II gives his answer over lunch. Unconditional support, whatever Vienna decides. History will call it the blank check. Then, having underwritten a war, the Kaiser leaves on his annual yachting cruise. The French president sails for Russia. The crisis that destroys Europe unfolds between vacations. Day 26. At 6 in the evening, timed deliberately for when the French president would be at sea and unreachable, Austria hands Serbia an ultimatum. 10 demands. 48 hours. It was written to be refused. Even Europe's diplomats, reading it, understood. This was not a document seeking justice. It was a document seeking a war. And then Serbia did something nobody expected. It said yes to almost everything. The reply, delivered 2 minutes before the deadline, accepted nearly every demand, reserving only the clause that would let Austrian officials operate inside Serbia itself. When Kaiser Wilhelm finally read it, days later, he scribbled in the margin that this was a capitulation, that every reason for war had fallen away. It didn't matter. The machine was already moving. On day 31, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia by telegram. The next morning, gunboats on the Danube began shelling Belgrade. What happens next is not a decision. It is a mechanism. Every great power's war plan depends on mobilizing faster than its rivals. Millions of men, moved by railway timetable. Once one empire starts, the others cannot afford to wait. The timetables take command. The Tsar and the Kaiser, cousins, who signed their telegrams Willie and Nicky, exchange increasingly desperate messages, each begging the other to stop a machine neither controls. Russia mobilizes. Germany declares war on Russia. 2 days later, on France. And the German war plan runs through a small neutral country whose independence Britain has guaranteed by treaty, Belgium. Day 37, August 4. German troops cross the Belgian border at dawn. London issues its own ultimatum. Withdraw by midnight, Berlin time. In the Foreign Office that evening, watching the street lamps being lit outside his window, Britain's Foreign Secretary is said to have turned to a friend and spoken the epitaph of an entire civilization. At 11 o'clock, midnight in Berlin, the deadline passes in silence. Britain is at war. 37 days after a car stopped on the wrong street, every great power in Europe is fighting. The men cheering in the squares believe it will be over by Christmas. It will last 1,561 days. And by the end, 4 of the empires that started it will no longer exist. In a museum in Vienna, you can stand in front of the car. It survived the war that it started. So did something else. In the next case hangs a pale blue uniform tunic. The collar is dark with a stain that conservators have never removed. It belonged to a man who, on the last morning of the old world, changed his route to visit the wounded, and whose driver was never told. 17 million people died in the war that followed. Empires fell, maps burned, and all of it, passes through 5 feet of pavement outside a Sarajevo delicatessen on a Sunday morning when a car stopped on the wrong street.